Hey there, my name is Pravus and welcome back to more City Skylines in Praetoria. Alright, I did a few things in between videos, including rearranging a handful of various different roads, trying to make some things just a little bit more efficient with the use of some roundabouts. You can see that we are having a lot of trouble with the sheer amount of traffic that wants to get into this general vicinity. But we're working on it, and I'm hoping that this is going to end up doing a pretty good job for us. We certainly can get a lot of traffic siphoned through here pretty much unobstructed if we try hard enough. I've also added in a new area for the city. We're going to be making this into a proper district at some point, and to that extent, we probably should go ahead and name this thing. Let me see. We're going to name this one Gut Hook Grotto. Thank you for your support. It sounds a little gruesome, doesn't it? But, I mean, I think it's going to be fine. Also, with a beautiful city park in between, we're going to call this one the Viola Sanctuary. Again, thank you for your patronage. Much appreciated. So this is going to end up being mostly a residential area with some commercial, some offices, mostly just trying to continue sustaining all the jobs and stuff that are going to be needed in the proper tourism district. I don't plan on expanding this out too much more unless I absolutely have to. We certainly don't seem to have quite enough customers to go around. Though, right now, I'm only seeing 3 buildings claim there's not enough customers, so goods have been delivered, and for the most part, we're getting all the people we need. So that's working out fantastically. Even the fun deck seems to be solved. Dude, alright, we've solved so many problems. So many problems have been solved. Are there any specializations that I would like to apply to this particular area? Probably not. Maybe an IT cluster, just in case we do some offices over here. Do I want self-sustained buildings? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's just make that a little bit interesting. And there we go. I know that most people would like me to probably build out, you know, things like a park that's named after them and stuff, but at this point, again, we've done a lot of city districts, so I hope you're not taking this as me slighting you, Viola, but I did give you a little pond over here. That's kind of cool. That's unique. Also some special rocks, so enjoy your rock and water. Yeah, no, this is definitely what makes for an outstanding park. Great content. Definitely not taking you for granted at all. Anyways, yahoo. All right, so with all of this going well, let's just take a quick look for any other signs of terrible, terrible traffic. We're having some issues down over there, but for the most part, not bad. This highway stretch has more or less solved itself. We're not having a huge traffic jam over here anymore. It really is going to come down to this, I think. This particular spot is where we're going to find ourselves having the most trouble. And that makes sense. There's a lot of trucks that need to make their way over into this area. So I suppose one thing we could do that might speed this up a little bit is knowing that a lot of these trucks are trying to head toward, let's say, a cargo terminal, we could directly hook up a quick highway exit over here. Now, this may not solve any problems. This might actually introduce a few problems. Who knows? But we can try doing something like this and see if this is going to give a better outlet to at least get over to this cargo terminal. But now I'm expecting we're going to have a huge issue right over here. But I mean, what else can we really do about it? It's already one big set of one-way roads. There's only so much more that can be done, really. It just sort of is what it is. So we'll come back to this. We'll continue looking for creative ways to continue storing this. This is only going to get worse, by the way, as we continue to build out more and more of our industrial sector. But, you know, that's just the way of things. We need more industry. We need more goods to be produced locally. Although we're kind of rapidly reaching a point where I don't know if that's necessarily true. Since most goods are getting delivered where they need to be, and we're clearly not having so much trouble importing things, we might actually be okay. I don't know. We'll come back to some of that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and set up at least a little bit of residential in a couple of these areas. Start filling out the Gut Hook Grotto a little bit. And let's not forget about the Ruby Retreat. We have a ton of space if people want to continue moving into this city. There's a lot more zoning that can be done, but the demand is almost non-existent, which we call very, very sad. So I'm working on it, but I can't get a whole lot more done than what I'm already doing. One thing that kind of surprises me is we don't have an absolute ton of land value in the Modus Ponens district. I would have expected that, given that we have so many special, unique buildings over here, but apparently that is not the case. We could try placing down a handful more parks and stuff. That is certainly one way of trying to boost up some of the local land value. So a couple of parks like this, for example, not only helps beautify the area just a little bit more, but we can try to get a little bit more land value, therefore a little bit more attractiveness. And it helps, but, man, not as much as I would have expected. And all these plazas with trees are apparently worthless. I mean, granted, it's mostly just a bunch of cobblestone plazas. It's not like it has anything truly outstanding, but come on! The Cathedral of Plentitude, it's gorgeous. What is wrong with you guys? Why aren't the land values going up more? Whatever. The Gut Hook Grotto, despite its rather disgusting name, is going to be a very, very valuable place indeed, so I'm not too worried about it. The Metho School for Uncommon Dandies is failing to grow to the degree that I would have liked. We're getting enough students to upgrade, but we're still not getting any meaningful number of academic works. I could try to hire some additional people, maybe give a research grant, try to boost this up a little bit. That could certainly help. We're not making, like, any money out of this, so I think one thing we'll do is go ahead and turn on universal education. This loses me out a couple $1,000s on tuition fees, but it increases the attractiveness by another 20% and student happiness. So I think we're going to find more people overall are going to start coming here. We're going to get more students overall and produce at least another one of those academic works. Then we can unlock more stuff and have even more uncommon dandies running about the city. Well, here's some good news. I am correct that we have solved this roundabout issue. The downside is, I also created exactly the traffic jam that I was afraid we were going to be facing, so that is now going to be a thing. Yeah, how best to get around that? I mean, are people even using this? Why are people... No one's using this cargo terminal. Maybe one thing we could do is try to split it a little bit more. Could we encourage people to try to use this as well? All right, so you all get off on this exit and head over here, and then maybe we can split the difference a little bit? Or is the new AI going to calculate everyone should go here and forget this stupid thing? That could happen. I don't know. At least where the traffic jam is mostly isolating itself just to this area now. Right, it's only to the cargo terminal. It's not going to everywhere else, so we're able to continue flowing the rest of the city, and we've quarantined the problem. I call that at least a partial win, because it means that we're not absolutely banging our head against a wall and destroying everything else. There's also a very, 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 very long way to go on the rest of this, so I mean, yay, I guess, I don't know. Okay. I wish I knew roughly in the city what types of industrial goods we needed, right? Because I'm seeing some industrial and commercial demand continue to grow, and for some reason commercial just continues to be like the most important thing in this city, despite the fact that we've been having so many troubles delivering goods. But I wish I knew what people needed. Like, if I were to continue expanding, for example, the Mathematicon Lumberyard, which we haven't looked at in a while, which is still actually not even running a profit. It's terrible. Oh, that's... awful. Anyway, if I were to expand this, would we be meeting some sort of a need within the city? Yes? No? I have no idea. What about the oil fields, right? The shadow oil and gas fields over here is producing a few barrels of petroleum, which is certainly nice. But is it meeting the needs of the city in any way, shape, or form, or is it a total waste of time? I have no idea. Shadow Oil and Gas has reached level 2, which means now we have larger petrochemical plants, better rigs, household plastic factories, barracks, and more storage, and so on. Okay. So just like before, we can continue to grow this out a little bit. Gimli, shush! I don't know why he's doing the bork downstairs, but he is anyway. So we need a lot more oil than this. And then, yeah, we need to build up a lot more stuff here. So this should be fun. I mean, it's been a little while since we got into work on some of this whole industrial stuff. It feels good to be going back to basics. So now a petrochemical plant takes oil and turns it into plastic, not into simple petroleum, I believe is how that works. Plastics, I know we need for a number of different industrial endeavors that we have up to this point had to pass on. So here comes a really good opportunity to go ahead and boost this up just a bit. And then maybe another storage yard or something over here could make a lot of sense. Sure. And then we need more oil rigs. How about one over here and one over here to get us going? So that produces 6,600 or so oil, each of these taking up. We have no idea yet. They're going to take, come on, tell me, about 4,000? Okay, so we should be overproducing a little bit on the oil side now. So that's good. Okay, cool. I did turn on, by the way, the game setting where we stop using up all the oil and the ore. I know that's a little bit boring, but I was getting really tired of Mr. Tweeter's Shiny Emporium, like, having to constantly move things around. It sucked. I didn't like it, so we got rid of it. I hope you'll all forgive me, but it needed to happen. Hey, the Metho School for Uncommon Dandies actually did something uncommon for once. They produced a couple of academic works. Excellent. More students, more attractiveness, and we are officially a recognized school. Which means, Chirp the Barbarian. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Anyway, liberal arts cafeteria, fountains, gymnasiums, and an outdoor study place. Pull the pork. Okay. Anyway, we can place down a few more of these things, and we can actually expand out the university. I might want to set up another one of these at some point, a proper trade school or something along those lines. But for the moment, let's continue with what we've got over here in Dandyland. Let's pop back over to the Ruby Retreat. Looks like it's growing at a pretty decent rate down over here. Are people actually making use of the bike lanes? To a degree, yeah, a few are. The thing is, while this does seem to work fairly well in real life, at least in certain types of cities, if the culture is there, in City Skylines it seems kind of pointless, doesn't it? Like, so few people are coming through here, whereas if instead I had dedicated this avenue toward, let's say, a tram, we could carry hundreds of people instead of just having, like, special space for Minecraft Steve over here, you know? So, I don't know. I don't think bike lanes are that great in City Skylines. I think they're great in real life. A little bit less so here. What's this? Ooh, we've upgraded the School for Uncommon Dandies again! Plenty of students coming in this time, and 3 more academic works! Heck yes! What do we get? The Iron Chirper? 28 chirps later and inside people's homes. Well, that's just an invasion of privacy, but sure, if you want to call that art, that's fine with me. So now we get some statues, because that's a good investment, art clubs, libraries, environmental studies, and so on. What I could start working on at some point is varsity sports, right? That is a thing that we can do, and that would probably draw a lot of extra attention. Not to mention a lot of extra traffic off in this direction. Not a bad idea for us, honestly. We may want to do that. But as I recall, and yeah, I'm now confirming, these stadiums are freaking huge! So, like, I literally need to spend some time just planning out a giant varsity sports area over here. And this almost becomes not only an educational, but also like an entertainment district as well, once you factor in Lasermark's land, which, by the way, is currently sitting pretty at level 4. Not a lot of visitors per week, 30 sounds like nothing. But, to be fair, even a lot of the other big buildings, like the Cathedral of Plenitude, only gets like 19 per week. So, you know, for some reason, when they say tourism is like, you know, only a couple dozen people per week, what I'm sure they probably mean is like a few hundred, but it's been scaled down. Because at the end of the day, this is just an abstract video game now, isn't it? Anyway, let's go ahead and continue upgrading this school. Level 4 at the oil and gas plants means we now have waste oil refining plants? Okay. Are we talking like just leftover like car oil, or are we talking like refining peanut oil and stuff into something you can use for your car, which is a thing. Not that I've ever tried it myself, but you get the idea. Let's see. Petroleum Refineries, finally. Bigger, actually useful buildings instead of these teeny tiny little sludge plants. Which, as a matter of principle, I just don't like the idea of using something called a sludge plant. It just seems wrong now, don't it? One thing I don't understand is why the traffic mod doesn't seem to be working quite the way that it used to. Case in point, down over here, you see there's a big traffic jam building up. Now, I added in an extra lane to this little bridge, knowing it's going to narrow down to 2, but mainly with the idea of having a right lane dedicated just to picking up traffic from the highway. These 2 lanes siphon over here, then they can merge together as needed. And if these guys are properly yielding, well, then there's no reason this can't just flow extremely quickly. And yet, for some reason, every car is coming to an almost complete stop because there's a stop sign here. Which doesn't make sense because I've made it into a yield area. So what's changed here? Because I'm pretty confident this used to work. In fact, I don't think this is the first time that I've seen an area where I had a yield sign and all of a sudden it says stop. So did they update the mod? Because if they've updated the mod and that's why I'm having so many traffic issues, I swear I'm going to get real mad. I'm going to get real mad real fast. That's what's going to happen. Now, do I dare try to add in another rail junction close to the Shadow Oil and Gas? We've messed up so many things up to this point, I'm highly wary of placing one down over here and finding out that all of a sudden everyone wants to drop their trucks off over here. At the same time, we're still kind of overloaded in this area. You know, despite all my best efforts, despite kind of halting the growth of the Steinworks into this general area, it's still nowhere near enough. We've got so many gosh dang cars that want to go down that way. Yikes. Yeah, it might not be a bad idea. It's far enough away from a lot of other rail junctions, I think it could be fine. Sort of, maybe a little bit, so we're gonna try for it. Let's go ahead and set up a quick little roundabout of roads. And pray that this doesn't come back to bite me. The main reason I want to do this is because I'm seeing in my warehouses we're getting kind of full up on plastics and petroleums, and all of our trucks are currently in use. All of them. Which basically means that all of the trucks are loading up on the highway, and I have to wait for them to travel all the way off to the edge of the map and then come back in order to make my money, which is very inefficient. So it would be way better, in theory, for me to have the train yards. Exactly the same justification for things like the Corky Butt Farms, but you all know how this one turned out, so I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried. Apparently train networks are something I really need to learn a lot more about in City Skylines before I can get too excited about it. But once the trucks come back, I'm hoping this means that we're going to be able to offload a lot more goods over here, and an already fairly profitable operation here is going to become even more profitable. And that would be good, because if you haven't noticed, we're not making a whole lot of money all of a sudden. Where's all the money really getting spent? Healthcare is particularly expensive, it turns out. Not very surprising, I suppose. Education's pretty expensive. We're probably a little over capacity on things like our garbage. It'd be more effective to go ahead and build up more units instead. What kind of taxes are we looking at? I did reduce the tax rate for residential by a fair bit, and it's one of the reasons we're not making nearly as much money, because I'm trying to encourage the growth of these regions. And you can see that slowly but surely we are successfully building out the neighborhoods and the farming districts I talked about. We've got a pretty robust industrial sector all of a sudden. How's the airport doing? Really well! Oh my god, we've gone through 273,000 passengers. Woo! Okay, yeah. You know, I was really reserved about the airport DLC. But now that I can beautify this and I have a better idea what I'm working with, that is a ridiculous amount of people traveling through the city. Holy crud, I love it. I'm gonna go ahead and lay out another district out over here. Between the highway and the train tracks, seems like a pretty convenient place to do that with one big loop for trams. I'll come back and name all that later. How are we doing on tourism, by the way? We're up to almost 2,900 weekly tourists coming in, that's good. Plus some exchange students. That's not a thing we had to worry about before. And a slightly higher percentage of high wealth people. Okay, I kind of like that. There's a fair bit of attractiveness in the city, but it's almost all concentrated into one area, which was entirely the point. So that's fine. For some reason, the airport is considered extremely attractive. Which I guess, yeah, you know, the other parks and stuff have kind of had their own entertainment value and stuff, but this is technically attractiveness. So, okay, a very, very attractive airport is good for me. Fan-flippin-tastic. All right, let's go ahead and create another district. Oh, man, but what to call it? Starting to have trouble keeping track of all the names I've already set aside. There's a lot of them. We'll call this one ADOS. Nothing else needs to be said beyond that. It's just ADOS. Don't you look at this and just say, that's an ADOS right there? Because that's what I do. Anyway, I gotta figure out how the heck I'm gonna get this thing connected to the rest of the city, and of course I gotta get some more highway connections going into it, which is gonna be absolutely hilarious to deal with. Yay, but we can get that going for absolute sure, and then once people are here, trams can get people pretty much anywhere they need to go within the district with no problems whatsoever, I'm sure. Man, unlike the last video, I feel like we've really come a long way here. This whole area is getting filled out, this whole area is getting filled out. We're just getting started down here. Not a lot of buildings as of yet, but that, of course, will change. Just needs a little bit of time. And we'll be there eventually, for sure. So yeah, we've got another new district coming in. Everything seems to be progressing at a pretty good rate. We don't have any emergency situations, which is good. Dealt with that. Still struggling, but getting through it. You know, we're getting through it. So it's not as bad as it certainly could be. Almost done leveling up the Shadow Oil and Gas Company. Just need a little bit more product to be done. Just like that. Okay, now we have another level 5 industry. Hooray! Sneaker factories, naphtha cracker plants, and offshore oil drilling platforms, which is not very helpful to me. So there we go. Boom. So you're telling me now if I really want to set up the industry for it, the infrastructure for it, we could go ahead and build, I think, every unique factory in the game now, which we already know is worth a ridiculous amount of money. The real question is, do we have a reliable way of transporting goods, like let's say the agricultural products and stuff, over to a centralized super industry hub? And at this point, I'm going to go with probably not. Could we get there? Maybe. But that's something I'll need to put a bit more thought into. I'm going to preemptively add in another neighborhood down over this direction. We are going to call the Bicycle locality. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce that. Thank you once again for your patronage. It'll take me a little while to build this area out. But remember, from the original plan, we wanted pretty much this entire area to be one big residential section. So this will be a lower density neighborhood. This will be a mostly higher density neighborhood. Wow, we're getting those academic works in now. Gosh, dang, these are uncommon dandies indeed. Auditoriums, bookstores, laboratories. Beautiful. All right, well, we'll continue doing this. I think next episode we are going to try building out some varsity sports, just for fun. I don't know if it does a lot for me as far as like the city's actual functionality, but it'll be pretty cool to build out. Something else I've never really messed with, and I probably should try it now, is something called, where is it? It's a special thing called a festival area. There it is. Attract tourists and infuse your city with musical vibes by building a festival area, which I'm pretty sure is exclusively for the purpose of hosting musical concerts. So what if I were to place one out over here, kind of close to the beach? You know, I'm watching the gigantic noise radius. I mean, it's huge. But if we were to place one out over in this direction, kind of close to the tourism district and the space elevator, that could be kind of cool. A beachfront concert. I like this idea. Let's do it. Hopefully the hotels aren't going to mind in this area, but it does boost up their happiness a bit. So, like, maybe this is something you actually would want to build deeper into this. As long as there's no residential districts around, do we actually care? That's actually a good point. Maybe we don't. Maybe I place it down over this direction. I don't know. Boost up the happiness a little bit further out? But now it's close to some residential areas. But the noise is fine. Let's just try this for now. So the festival area, never messed with this before, but it looks like we can have concerts arrive at some point in the future. Let's see, the year is 2044, is it? Wow, okay. So in 4 months, we're going to have our first round of concerts. Then there's more. Here's some of the artists, some of the popularity that goes into it. We can change the pricing for some of this. Okay. Let's see, there's ad campaigns to try and draw people, so I guess we could do that. $9,000 per week. Ouch. And then there's a premium studio, which increases the chance of a successful concert. That costs another $3,000. I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound, might as well. And then there's a security budget. I'll go ahead and boost that up at least a little bit. And then boom. So we'll have to check back on this, you know, in the next like 4 months or so and just see what happens with this. I've never messed with it. It's a special DLC that came out kind of recently. I want to try it out. I'm guessing the way this is going to work is if you have successful, high-popularity concerts, you level up to 2 stars and 3 stars, and who knows what other kind of wonderful stuff comes out of that arrangement. So this should be fun. That's the stage? It's this teeny little stage? Does this thing get bigger as it levels up? Because that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Well, we'll come back to some of that a little bit later, I think. That could be kind of nice. You know something else I want to do? We haven't really checked out yet. So far, we've been playing this game entirely in day mode, and the reason for that is because it's really hard to see the game when it's nighttime, and you want to be able to build to your heart's content. But once in a while, I wouldn't mind being able to actually see a little bit of the day-night time. So let's see if I can figure out how to do this again. Day-night cycle, down here under settings. Okay, so this is what our city looks like as we are getting into dusk. Ooh. Is kind of pretty, don't you think? I like nighttime cities. I think they look really good. I like seeing all the rows of beautiful, beautiful lights polluting the crud out of this freaking planet. So let's see, later at night, there we go, take away the dusk, and this is what we look like from a distance. Dude, that's kind of nice. Is there a hotkey to get rid of all the names so I can see this a little bit better? But look at that. Ah, it's beautiful. Anyway, we won't continue playing with it for now. It's still important to be able to see what I'm doing, but I do want to check this at the end of the series, just to make sure that we can see our city from Mars. It's going to have so much light. Absolutely wonderful. All right, we're going to end this video here. I think we made some pretty good progress. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I'd ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.